Food is more than just what's on our plate. It's the places where it's grown, it's the people who grow it, and so much more. Join me, Janice Person, your host, on Grounded by the Farm every other week as we talk about the foods we love. I love finding these different stories in different parts of the country. This is close to home for me. It's Western Kentucky, and it actually talks on several themes that we've touched on with separate stories this year, starting even with an Airbnb property. We're going to be talking to the Peery family in Western Kentucky and asking them about their family's farming history with Jerry, who is the patriarch of the family. He and his daughter, Kristia, have converted a house into a place for hospitality and food. And we're going to talk about that. Going to show some great pictures of some of the things they're doing there. And going to talk to Kristia's son, Jonathan. Jonathan and Jerry showed me around the farm. We've got that on video, so make sure you go check it out because it was a gorgeous time. Canola was in full bloom. Anyway, we're going to start out by talking to Jerry about the home he grew up in decades ago. You call it the home place, so this is where the family farm used to be based out of, right?
Correct.
And there'd be like a home place every 50 to 100 acres or so in this area, I guess?
That's right. My parents had livestock on the farm. We used to have cows, milk cows, and sold milk to the dairy. At that time, it was called grade C milk. Later on, we did not have the cows, but we had commercial livestock. We used to raise hogs on the farm and row crop. We had a sawmill at one time, and we cut lumber for custom work, and we did a lot of things to survive.
Jerry, do you mind if I say you might be a few years older than me?
That's fine.
You said you had been...
I'm a few years older than most people.
I think we figured out you and my mom are kind of peers in the 80s.
I'm coming on 83.
Yeah. So a lot of people have this idea, this romantic idea of a family farm, and that's what you grew up in.
Right. I grew up in...
Was it romantic?
Oh.
Or hard?
Well, somewhat, I guess.
But there's a lot of romantic history to a home place for a lot of farmers.
That's correct.
And even though you built a house a mile or so away, I think it's an interesting idea that you guys wanted to find a way to keep this feeling of that part of our history, your family's farm history. A lot of us have lost it in our families where our grandmother's homes are no longer anywhere near the family, much less in the family.
Yeah, our goal here at Springhill Farms is to keep the farm in the family. And we want to do that with the house, too. And so they're doing a good job of it.
Yeah, I love it. And your family, so you're the farmer, and you have a grandson that's farming with you?
Grandson is coming in. He's in and he's getting some experience as we speak.
God love him.
Yeah.
He's going to get the experience.
He's going to get the experience.
And your daughter is the one who likes to cook.
She's the cook. Yep.
And so
we don't want for food. We just call the cook.
That's awesome. So how old is this house?
This house was built in about 1895.
Okay.
It's about, yeah.
My great-granddad was building houses in Memphis around the early 1900s, so I think we probably had some houses in...
This house was built by my great-grandfather, and they came here from Tennessee, from Hickman County, Tennessee to Hickman County, Kentucky.
Get out.
Yep.
So at this point, though, the family farm, your family farm looks pretty different than it did when you were growing up.
Yeah. A lot different, yeah. Because back then we didn't have the machinery to take care of the land like we do now, and we didn't have near the acres that we did. When I was growing up, 150, 200 acres was a large farm.
Yeah.
Now you can't survive on a 150-acre farm.
Right.
unless you're just specialty crop or something organic or something like that. But the way we're farming commercially, cash crops, you couldn't make it, and buy all the machinery that's needed.
Yeah.
So we've added a lot of acres in my lifetime. Whenever I started farming, we had the 160 acres on the home farm, and then since then, I started farming in '57 when I got out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting my 65th crop, and together we have put together about 1,600 acres over a lifetime, just buying small family farms close to us in the neighborhood,
As other people moved out.
As other people moved out. Mm-hmm.
Well, part of the beauty of that is, everybody was expected to grow some of their own food, and there's people like me that may not be really well suited for growing our own food, but we sure like to eat it.
Yeah, everybody's going to eat it. Everybody's got to eat.
Part of what really intrigues me then is how you then turn this into like a food place, because I looked at you guys online, and first off, I'm going to tell everybody, y'all need to check out the Peery House. It's Peery House, the Peery House on Instagram, and y'all might go ahead and get diabetes just by looking at it. We've talked to sugar farmers before, and I'm going to tell you, whew, girl, can you cook? You can bake, especially. So when you started trying to do this, knowing you wanted to appreciate your family's history and honor, at least looking around the place, it feels like it's honored.
Definitely.
How did you go through that and go, oh, yeah, let's figure out how to do this as an Airbnb?
Well, Grandmommy, that's who lived here. We called her Grandmommy. She loved to bake, so I learned to bake from her. Mom, she cooked out of necessity. That wasn't something she enjoyed. She decorated everything here. My mom is the decorator. Grandmommy loved to bake, and so emergency management and services is, because I was a 911 dispatcher, and then went into emergency management director. It's very stressful, and so I would cook. And Galen bought me the Martha Stewart cake decorating set one year for Christmas, which I still have. That is the cake stand that I use. It's a very nice.
That's funny.
Cast
that you started
iron.
it all off on a Christmas present.
Yep. Yes. And so I don't know. It just led to. It was a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And it was a stress reliever, and I enjoyed it. And I think just my personality and who I am, as far as just serving, that was always fun to me.
Yeah.
And which is why I think people go into emergency services to help people,
Yeah.
And so this is a lot more of a positive thing that can be so stressful, and I really enjoyed it, but this feeds me instead of drains me,
Yeah,
and so I went to culinary school and got an associate's degree. It's at the local community college in Paducah, West Kentucky, and it's a 2-year associate's degree. So, and you get an applied science degree, and I have a specialty in catering and personal chef. I think in class, I was disillusioned in a little bit because I thought there would be this great baking, but I think we spent 2 weeks on baking. I was a little disappointed there.
You can always take a special class in baking, and if you don't know where those schools are, I can give you plenty of schools.
Well, since then, the University of YouTube is amazing. A lot of schools do that, and a lot of people take and put stuff on there. And I still learn a lot of stuff, online that way.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew. But I knew whenever we got out of school, this was a very special place for me. Yeah. And I think that houses die if someone's not living in it. And that just, to me, meant that was it was like the death of a memory and all of the good things growing up, and I didn't want to see that happen.
So did you guys redo the house, or how much? It feels like it could be a house like my grandmom's in a lot of ways.
There's a lot of original stuff here still. We painted each room. We had help. because I cook. That's what I say. I cook. We had help. We painted everything. We did redo the kitchen to be able to pass the health department inspection and do each time. And we have the same carpet. We have the same curtains in the living room and in one of the bedrooms, the master bedroom. We do not. We redid that, but it was like a little restaurant, and I really don't know what to call it because it was like a private restaurant because we weren't open to the public. Like you couldn't just come in and eat. We were open one day a year for that, and that was Valentine's Day. And we took reservations, and we had a 5-course meal, and people would come in, and we were open for like 3-4 hours, something like that. And that was the only day. Other than that, people would rent the home, and we would do groups. And it was basically what you wanted it to be. Sometimes we had like the circuit judges in this area would come for a meal, and it was a quiet place. We would have church groups, bunco groups, birthday parties, just whatever, it was a meeting space, you know, and we provided the food. And
so many small towns don't have spaces like that, so it's kind of neat that y'all are able to create something like that in the middle of a pretty rural area. I mean, you're near towns, but the towns are pretty small.
No, it's really rural. Yeah, it is. And we try to tell people that on the Airbnb site too whenever they come here. But
yeah, so Airbnb must have really shifted things for you, that the ability to have Airbnb, and then the fact that people want to come to the middle of nowhere, Kentucky.
That amazes us all. I would say all of us. I mean, we're all sitting here, and I think all of us would agree that we really did not think that it would be what it is. But I think one of the greatest compliments is that a lot of people, not every person that comes in, but a lot of people have said, oh, it's like going home to my grandmother's house, or it's there's just something different here. And
I've got quotes. Like one review is, if a house could hug you, this one would. I mean, I don't know if you could pay people to write reviews like that, but like thinking about, especially in COVID, my guess is the last couple of years, more people have looked to get outside of their normal space because, gosh, you're in the same place so often. Mm-hmm. Get somewhere where you can be outside. Right outside is a gorgeous antique barn, which would probably be a safety. You wouldn't want people in it a lot.
No, and I tell them because they want to go. I go,
take pictures.
Yeah, please don't go in or at your own risk because the weather's been hard on it lately. Yeah.
Realistically, a lot of people wouldn't have an experience of being near an antique barn like that. Or you guys are in the middle of a real working farm. Mm. There's fields on all sides. Mm. This is not a Disneyland version of a farm. This is like real tractors, real equipment. Do you have much interaction with the folks that come and stay with you? And
absolutely.
This is Jonathan that's going to be talking.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's we always joke, like, Granddaddy, we're thankful that, I mean, even he's 82 and he's still out there every day with us, and we keep joking around saying we're going to get him a 4-seater Ranger and just let him drive people around, and because he'd love to talk and show people.
And the way he talks, you can tell he would be happy to do it, too. They would love it.
Yeah, but we've got all kinds of people that come and visit on our farm. We love to host.
So do people want to ask you questions about things?
Yes, there's a lot. I mean, we've had several people that have asked about, what we're doing here. And, I guess for us, it's normal. Like, I grew up just a few months old, was laying in the floorboard of a combine while my granddad was driving, and I was napping. But for most people, being around a tractor is so foreign. And so for them, it's almost nostalgic to be able to think about what their grandparents probably were doing or great-grandparents were doing years and years ago, and so being able to have some type of tie to agriculture and for them it's just a learning experience, but it's fun too, and we try to make it fun. I'm thankful, like even the guys that work with us on the farm, I mean, all of them, most of our equipment has got a buddy seat in it, and so when they're up in there, we'll throw people in and just let them go. And like last year, I got married last August, and my wife is from a beef cattle and tobacco farm, and so it's a little bit different. But last fall, we're running a little bit short on help because we had so many things going on, and so I just threw her in the auger wagon, and she was driving a grain cart for us, and just kind of learning as she went. But I was talking through it with her on the radio, and it happened to be a day that we have some friends from church that homeschool their boys, and they wanted to come out and visit and learn about where their food came from.
Yeah.
And so she got to talk to them about what she was doing while she was learning on the fly. So
I was going to say, and she's like, I've never driven the wagon before,
yes.
but I can explain it to you a little bit, right?
Yep.
So. Yeah. Well, I can remember taking my nieces and nephews out to farms and stuff since I'm so involved in it. And I can remember my nephew telling me he didn't talk much with one driver in a tractor, but they thought a lot.
Yep.
He was probably 5 years old, but he says we were mainly thinking.
That's good. Yeah.
But it's great to have somebody that will answer the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different kind of Airbnb because if people wanted to see harvest, they could be out here at harvest time, right? And it's so many Americans don't have that access to the farm. You got that buddy seat in the combine.
Yeah. And normally, if there's not people here during harvest, we're usually eating lunch here because Mom will cook, and so we'll be right outside. We'll all walk in, eat, and go right back out to work. So.
Because it's right in the middle of the farm. It is
Yeah.
pretty perfectly situated for that. And I'm betting grandmom used to do big farm dinners around farm lunches or something. Somebody had to do lunch. There was a lunch service somewhere.
Yeah, it has grown since probably more so in the last 15, 20 years, something like that. Mom was very active in having, especially in the summer. In the summer when you're really, really busy and you lose a lot of time to have to go to town and eat lunch.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose that time. Either make something and they take it to the tractor or we take it to the field or, come in and eat and then leave again. But because I enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
So that's fun for me too. And I do enjoy it. Lately it hasn't been as much, but baking has been really busy.
Yeah,
yeah.
I could see that.
Yes.
So if people wanted to stay here, the grocery stores and restaurants are pretty far away.
Yes.
You also offer to help with food?
I do. So one of the things that I wanted to be different, because I do enjoy it, and I also know that we're limited on resources. Like, we do have a nice restaurant in town, a fun little home place called the Beehive, and they have great meal, great fish, stuff like that. Local food. But they're closed on Sunday nights, Monday nights, and Tuesday nights. And so you're very limited. And then the other restaurant, Walmart is 30 minutes away, and the closest fast food, yes.
So he's talking about you couldn't get fuel after 9 o'clock, and I know how that works because I have lived in rural areas, and if you forget to get gas and you have a long way to go, you're in trouble because
Yes.
So you actually offer to help them with meals or something at a reasonable rate, and
Mm-hmm. Well,
do you make your grandmoms like cornbread or something? Surely your grandmom had something that there's like some recipes of hers that are still around in your world.
yes, mostly sweets. That's what I really took away from. Now, Grandmommy cooked the standard mashed potato, turnip greens, fried chicken, salmon patties, things like that, But the one things that, especially since I like to bake, her chess pie.
I love chess pie.
Yeah, that one actually, I don't know if it's in. No, one of the magazines around here actually put it in.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky Living or Kentucky Monthly or something like that. Put it in, and she had a strawberry cake that we still use. That's some of the cupcakes and cakes. That's what the birthday cake that I just did is a strawberry. Hers,
This
and then
time of year strawberry cake sounds so good.
yeah, and then a coconut cake she had. It was a sour cream coconut cake. So we did. We had it yesterday for Easter dinner. And so those are the three things. She used to make a sakatumi cake. It was a bundt cake. I don't know if anybody even knows what that is.
I've got a recipe in a cookbook I did years ago.
So you know what that is then? Okay, I didn't know. It's like cinnamon and has like the crunch on the top. Yeah, it was really good. It was a really good cake. But, not many people want bundt cakes anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if people come here, though, this is going to feel pretty low tech. I mean, you have Wi-Fi and everything. I mean, it's
Yes.
not like
and a
you're-
smart TV.
and a smart TV.
Yeah.
But it really is a quiet place.
It is. And we Galen and I talked about the different things that, well, we've actually been to several different Airbnbs. And that's another thing. That's the reason why I wanted to even have an Airbnb is he planned our honeymoon. And that was the very first bed and breakfast that I ever went to. It was always a hotel. And it was in, what part of Nashville? Outside?
South of Franklin, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was called the Peacock Hill Inn, and they just sold it not long ago. I've watched it, and I mean, like, it made such an impact. I remember it was Anita and Walter were the owners. Ogilvy, that was their name. Yeah, it was a working cattle farm, and I just loved it. I loved it so much. We sent our parents to there. We went back again. We have all these pictures. Like, we would go and see how they built on, and I wanted to do that, but I didn't think it was possible because the house is small, and, you know, starting out, I didn't think we could afford to do that. And then Airbnb. Galen, he says he's not the idea person. I'm actually making this literally known now. He says he's not the idea person, but he's been the one that's like been the catapult to all of it. The baking, taking me to the air to,
If
you know,
you
he
could see
says,
Galen, he is rolling his eyes, acting like whatever.
yeah, but it's true because
But
you're the one that said when we were catering, the lady that helped me, and the kids were growing up, they did not, this was my dream, not theirs. And he knew that I wanted to do a bed and breakfast. And the lady that worked with me she was diagnosed with cancer, and it was in the fall of 17, and she passed away in January of 18. And so it was very quick.
Yeah.
But he had said, you know, maybe now is a time to look at the bed and breakfast, and why don't you look into Airbnb? And I was like, okay. So I was like, hey, we don't have to do anything except put furniture back in. We have to take all the tables out. And that's exactly what we did. The bed in this bedroom here is the bed. This is Grandmommy and Granddaddy's bed is back.
Yeah.
I bought a bedroom suit from a cousin.
Yeah.
You know, these are two of the tables that were there. You know, most people don't have two tables in their living room, but it works right now.
I was going to say, for games and stuff, my family would probably do it in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
yeah. And it is kind of nice, you know. And so that's exactly what we did. And we had friends of ours come and stay. And
So part of it that you were talking about, it sounds like you wanted to cultivate like these relationships with people over time, like you had with this other bread and breakfast. So do you have return guests?
yes, and I'm so excited. Like, so we are what, in our third year? Is that right? Okay, we're in our third year, and we've had some people that we've known who have come back. They hunt, and so they come from Louisiana. We've got some hunters from Georgia that have come in, but I think the one that I'm so excited about is last year for 4th of July, we had a couple and their dog come from Chicago. And so, backstory, a lot of people, you know, you want to know, why are they here? And Mom always asks, well, why are they coming? And I'm like, I don't know yet. I haven't been able to ask.
Of nowhere.
That's right. And you think they're passing through. That's what it used to be, it was people coming for work. Here close, there's not a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
Or people prefer to be alone. You know, they don't want to share a space or whatever. And so they were passing through. But then all of a sudden, like, I would say, oh, you know, because if I was baking, and I tell people if I need to be here and make it work around their schedule and mine, and, oh, you know, did you come for a wedding? And they're like, no, we just came here. And I'm like, you came here? Like to Springhill? Like you don't have anything else to do? Like you really
No
came
family
here?
nearby or no work nearby.
And they were like, no, we just saw your pictures and the farm, and it was beautiful, and we wanted to get away. And So we came here, and so then last year this couple from Chicago, their dog is scared of all of the fireworks, and they were looking for a place to get away. And so, and I don't always remember their names. I didn't get to meet them, but she sent me a message a month ago, and
Wants to come back.
they are coming back, and they said, we just had the best time, and it's such a beautiful area and all the space, and we wanted to come back. And I was like, that's the best compliment, you know?
Pretty much is.
It is, yeah. So that makes me happy. And I love that people, I want them to feel what we feel here. I used to think that everybody grew up and had the same experience that I did. And I realized when I got older that was very rare, and we were very blessed. And, but I think people need that. And I bet I know who said the house that hugs you, because I have a friend from Mississippi that says that it's the house that hugs you. And that was like one of the sweetest things that she could say, because it is, to me, I mean, I know it's just a house, but there's just so many things here. And I just feel like we were so blessed. My grandmommy was great in hospitality. That's why our little logo is hospitality is our heritage, because that's true. We always had people in our house, and it didn't matter who. The door was always open. Even Galen's parents. I mean, lots of stories that we heard, and I think that's important to him. People feeling loved, and I always said that I felt like some people have a purpose, and I realized it may sound odd for some people, but this is truly how I feel. Is I just felt like, even though it's just cakes, it's just a bed and breakfast. I'm just in quotes here, you know. It's important to me, but I felt like I was really serving Jesus by serving other people, and I was being hands and feet. It wasn't that I have to force anything on anyone. I just think people, especially now, need to feel seen and heard and loved, and need a place sometimes to just rest. And I hope that this is it, that, you know, that when they're here, that they feel something different, and they leave and they're refreshed, and it's quiet. And yes, we have internet and stuff like that, but, you know, it's a place to recharge. And I hope that they feel well taken care of when they're here by us.
Just based on what I'm reading online, it seems like definitely. And when a friend told me, I was telling a friend I was going to be in this area of the country, and she said, I asked, who should I talk to? She was like, oh my gosh, this is where you need to go. And I can see why people would want to come back to it again. And especially if you live in a very different environment. This is a chance to see something that's very unique for some people, and it's taken for granted by others who have always had it, maybe sometimes, but you guys have, instead of taking it for granted, you've packaged it up in a way that makes it accessible to others. So if folks are going to be coming through the middle of the country, or if they're here, it's interesting. I noticed it looked like sometimes people from the military bases that aren't very far use this as a way to just get away out of the hectic world they're in or something. And
yeah, I
and
didn't even think about her.
It seems perfect that you have people like that coming back. And if they are interested in getting a little bit touch more of food, which is what we really love to talk about, is on the farm side of things. Now you know you got Jerry and Jonathan and everybody show you around. You could take a ride in that buddy seat, put them to work. He looks darn serious saying that, too.
Yes, he does.
He is.
Well, I want to thank you all. I think we're at the time, so I'm going to put in a lot of links so folks can follow back up with you if they're interested in coming out. I really do tell you guys, I just met him a couple hours ago, had the most amazing burger that Jerry makes down at the shop for the folks working on the farm and stuff. and I've got cupcakes to go, so I'm kind of living the sweet life myself. So.
Well, our guests always, I do try to leave those for people, even if I don't cook for them, because that is extra. It's not included,
exactly.
but I do leave stuff for them for breakfast because it's not just an Airbnb, because we are so far away from modern convenience. I say modern conveniences. We just don't have somewhere you can run at 11 o'clock at night if you want something to eat. So I try to leave snacks and drinks and coffee and stuff like that. And but
I think the hospitality is always, I can see it's part of your heritage, because since I've been here, I've had a lot of it.
yes, yeah,
All
we
right.
take pride in that.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. And in the meantime, we're going to have some video and stuff for you to check out. You're going to want to see the pictures of this house. Chances are it's going to bring back some memories to some old photos that your family has somewhere, whether you've lost track of them or not. They're great old photos around here that you want to ask questions of. This is Janice. We'll talk to you again in 2 weeks. Goodbye.